welcome to Myers ASMR. How are you? It's always good to see you. Are you relaxed? Hey, the universe. The universe says yes to you. Nothing is held back. The universe says yes to you. Nothing is held back. Well, I certainly did not hold back on this summer turkey sausage and the sauerkrauty. So let's get to it. Let's check it out. This is a new type of meal for me. I don't typically eat like this, but I'm definitely into a nice sausage. And here's my sauerkraut. And I picked up some horseradish. So let's just get into it, right? Honestly, a good hot dog with mustard and sauerkraut. That I can do. I gotta start making my own horseradish paste because this one just tastes too much like mayonnaise and it even tastes sweet. I don't think it's a good idea to eat that entire sausage in one sitting. I mean, I guess it would be okay, but it seems like a lot of meat. Make sure you have some veggies, some other stuff to balance it out. I got these iced shortbread cookies that are pumpkin spice flavored. So, I just have a few left. The flavor is so good because they don't taste all plain. They taste almost like ginger snaps. This is some Tazo passion tea. I have a little lemon and acai berry concentrate and a splash of apple cider vinegar because you know that's how I do. Getting to know yourself. In this chapter, we're going to analyze your personality and see whether or not you may be suffering from some weaknesses that may be serving to repel rather than to attract the people about you. Before we get to that, however, let us examine one facet of your total mental attitude in which your major social strength must rest. That is your opinion of yourself. You should be able honestly to think of yourself as someone pretty special. You may have this feeling of self-esteem even if, as you may find on ensuing pages, there are certain negative features in your personality. The correction of the negative features will then serve to add legitimacy and force to your respect for yourself. You know to yourself you are probably the ideal companion, for in your own company there's no conflict of tastes, dreams, ambitions, dislikes, loves, or fears. Shakespeare said, "I to myself am dearer than a friend." Confucius said it even more emphatically, "What the superior man seeks is in himself. What the small man seeks is in others." Look at the world about you. See the men who lead us, who lead the peoples of the world, the men who accomplish, the men who influence. They make mistakes. They sometimes make enemies. Often they are foolish, but always they hold themselves high in esteem, high enough to believe that what they do, what they think, what they advocate is right. More important to your present need than this knowledge itself is the fact that when you begin to appreciate yourself, something rather wonderful happens to your personality. If your self-esteem is not a fraud, if it is based on genuine worth, it sends out waves of attraction that draw the esteem and the interest of others to you. The great trick is to keep from going beyond self-esteem to conceit, which is more damaging than excess modesty. As Hazlitt pointed out, let a man's talents and virtues be what they may. He only feels satisfaction in his society as he is satisfied in himself. And as he warned on another occasion, conceit is the most contemptible and one of the most odious qualities in the world. There is a line between self-appreciation and conceit, and it is the height of self-discipline to stop as close to that line as possible. You know, sometimes I feel like the world kind of forces conceit on people. Not everybody, but I think in certain ways we're conceited because even if you try hard not to hear the praise, it seems like people will force you to know a certain thing about yourself. And then, because so many people keep telling you the same thing so much, you develop this "I know it" attitude. How can you not know when they make sure that you know it? And the more you try to not know it, the more they make sure that you do know it. It's crazy. It's like if there's something about somebody that's really stands out, I don't know, maybe it seems like it's almost impossible not to be conceited about that thing. Let me know, what do you think? There can, of course, be no scientific measurement of your self-esteem any more than there can be such measurement of any of your personality traits. And yet we can establish a rule of thumb by which to measure these intangibles with sufficient approximate accuracy to render them valid. The best such rule of thumb is the questionnaire, which gives you an opportunity to estimate the degree of your inclination toward a given weakness or a given strength. As we grow older and begin to understand the relationship between our actions and our personality weaknesses. We begin to hide these weaknesses when they are sufficiently obvious for us to recognize them. Thus, a man who fears heights may train himself to avoid reference to his fear. To make this easier, he may even manage to avoid heights. If that is not possible, he may force himself not to look from high windows or out of planes. He may come to disguise his fear so well that his friends may never become aware of it. He may come in time to set up a block against his own recognition, conscious of his fear. If you were to ask him directly if he were afraid of heights, he might truthfully say no. Nevertheless, a psychologist might, through a series of questions, discover his fear without ever mentioning it directly, because incident to the fear itself, there would be revealing factors. There might be recurrent dreams of falling. There might be a revulsion to tall women. There might be a distrust of the brakes of automobiles. There might be an exaggerated love for the seashore as a vacation place. There might be an antipathy to birds. There might be 101 other things, no one or two or three of them overly significant, none of them related directly to fear of heights, but in the aggregate more or less conclusive proof of such fear. We are ready then for our first self-examination. Are you convinced of your own worth? Credit yourself with 5 points for each answer, which can honestly be no. If you run up a score of 70 or more, you have sufficient self-esteem to disregard this subject as a contributing factor in your loneliness. If your score is very low, say 40 or less, you may reasonably conclude that the task of bringing it higher is more important than anything else in your effort to defeat loneliness. If you are not a friend even to yourself in this sense, you are twice lonely. You will probably find that the very discovery of the problem you face is a vital step toward overcoming it. Okay, so there are 20 questions here that you answer yes or no to. 1. Do you ever have the feeling that no one really worthwhile could fall in love with you? 2. Do you always take someone with you by wearing apparel? 3. Is it impossible or extremely difficult for you to ask for a raise? 4. When another driver sounds his horn in criticism of your driving, do you slow down to let him pass you? 5. Do you permit people who enter a store after your own interest to push ahead of you for service? 6. Do you yield when others express forceful opinions, though you may continue to disagree mentally? 7. Do you belong to fan clubs? Do you collect autographs of current celebrities? 8. Are you unceasingly concerned about your complexion or body odor or the color of your teeth, etc.? 9. Are you overtly modest about your own efforts or accomplishments? 10. When you receive change, do you pocket it without counting it? 11. Do you always apologize for your dancing? 12. Do you allow others at the office or shop to pass the buck to you? 13. Are you an easy mark for a salesman? 14. Are you excessively punctual? 15. Do you tip too generously? 16. Are you jealous? 17. Do you need a drink or two before you can open up in company? 18. Do you cater or kowtow to others? 19. Are you always the last of your party to enter a taxi? And 20. Are you unduly hesitant about inconveniencing others, for instance? Are you afraid to make rustling sounds or move about in your seat at a theater? Do you eat foods you don't like or can't stomach just to be agreeable, etc.? We shall cross the line from self-esteem to conceit only as an intellectual exercise, because though self-esteem and conceit are always in danger of merging at one point or another, conceit is hardly a weakness that will result in loneliness. Those who are conceited are too enamored of themselves to miss togetherness with others. Though in rare moments of self-revelation, they may have sudden loneliness pangs, nothing repels more effectively